Hey everybody. So I want to expound a little bit more on this new mantra and this new season of doing the things that you don't want to do. And I know, again, some people is going to be like, well, yeah, you just do the things that is hard or seem hard. But it's so much more than that. And when I mean it's so much more than that, I mean it by it's so much more than that because some of the small things you don't want to do. The simple, real easy things, you don't want to do them either. It's a way to help you break out of the laziness and procrastination. I can admit to myself that sometimes I'll be lazy. Other times I'll be procrastinating, and I know I'm procrastinating. And there's nothing motivating me to do it. And I know some people may say, well, why are you doing it? Why do you feel you need to do it? What is your why behind it? Because maybe that's the reason why you don't want to do it. It's because it's your why behind it. But necessarily, depending on what it is, it's not my why. Some of them are just regular responsibilities. Others are pushing myself. But most of the time, it's not the why. It's if you believe in yourself. And a lot of times, I know if I consistently do that, it's going to change. And some people are just afraid of change. I'm afraid of change. I do not like change. Too many changes all at the same time makes me go just all out of the way. But we talked about how me getting my hair cut, that was a huge change. Not only the haircut, the color was a huge change. Because I've never colored my entire hair. I've never wanted to cut my hair short, right? So it was a whole complete change for me. Now, as it's been a couple of days since I've done this change, I like it. Not because I got the compliments like, oh my God, your hair looks great, or that color looks really good. Not because of the compliments. And yeah, in a sense, you know, that's great. But it's me looking in the mirror every single day and seeing a new version of me. Seeing a different version of me. Seeing a version of me where I'm happy, I'm smiling. And I'm like, okay, I'm feeling it. Okay, all right, cool. You know, being able to touch the back. And I'm like, wait a minute. But not being afraid. Sometimes it takes those small steps of change, of you walking into change, in order for you to actually embrace change. That's why that mantra is so keen onto me. That's why that's something that's so important that God has just been pressing and pressing and pressing down on me with, is doing the things that I don't want to do. Now, most of you are going to say, so you didn't want to color your hair cut? No, I did. But I was procrastinating on doing it. I could have got this done 6 months ago. And my hair would have grew longer. All of those things. But I didn't. Because I was afraid of, I went through 2 phases. Afraid of what people may think. Then I got over that phase. And I was afraid of what would I look like. And God kept showing me, like, look, if you do it like this, you still gonna look like you. You still gonna look like you, right? And I was just like, man, I don't know. Whew, I don't know. And so I sat on it and sat on it. Then I started telling people and realized, like, something about myself is when I started telling people certain things that I've already in my mind, like, I'm gonna do this, I want to do this. It's a self-sabotaging thing. See, do the things you don't want to do helps you deal with self-sabotaging habits. Because, and let me tell you how, because I know you're going to be like, well, how? Okay, for example, for me, I'm going to just use me. I ain't talking about y'all. I ain't talking about your neighbor, you over there. I'm going to just use me. So, here's the crazy part. When it's something, like for my hair, for instance, or anything, and it's something that I know there's a change, and I'm like, you know what, I want to change this about me, right? Or this needs to change. When I'm thinking about that change, or thinking about a decision that I need to make, instead of me, and I will pray, let me tell you that, I will pray, but I get like Gideon. And if anybody knows who Gideon is, don't know who Gideon is, go read the book of Judges. If you do know who Gideon is, then you probably know what I'm about to say. Because he suffered with self-sabotaging by a way of continuing to ask God, give me a sign, show me a sign, show me a sign, show me a sign. Instead of me asking, show me a sign, show me a sign, I would be having a conversation with people and tell them internally, I'm actually looking for a sign to show me why I shouldn't do it and why not to do it. But instead, I get affirmation of how it is good, how it is going to work, how this, what if you just have faith in that. And some people may say, well, all of these moves of faith, how is it that you still struggle from time to time? If you've made all these radical moves of faith, how are you still struggling? Because I'm human, just like the disciples. They walked with Jesus for 3 years. And we ask that question every single time that we read something in the Bible about the disciples. How is it we still struggling with faith if you was walking with him? You don't believe he can do it, but you walk with him daily, day in and day out? How? You eating with him. You're fully in his presence. How is it that you still struggling with this? You are human. You are human. And so, needless to say, instead of me self-sabotaging, thinking like, no, y'all don't understand the struggle I went through in the chair. Even while I was in the chair, y'all, I was like scringing. And now let me tell y'all what the original plan was. The original plan was to have my roots, my natural color roots, still here, and then for it to be down, then the color to come down a little bit more. God didn't have her do that. She did the whole thing. So when I realized it, I was low-key like trying to not talk myself out of it, trying to not say, hey, hold up, trying to not do it and just embrace the change. Sometimes we think the change is going to come by way of our expectations, by the way of how we want the change. But if we just trust God in the process, and that's all I kept hearing the whole time while I was in the chair, all I kept hearing was God tell me, trust the process. Just trust the process. Just trust the process. Trust the process. See, when you do the things that you don't want to do, or you do the things that scare you or intimidate you in some kind of way to why you don't do them or have those habits on a regular basis, you got to trust God's process. And it takes you to another level of trust. It takes you to another level of clarity when you trust his process. Now, it doesn't mean he's not going to keep nudging you to do those things that you need to do. But that's how procrastination and self-sabotage come along. It's because we don't trust the process. We don't. We do not trust the process. We only trust God to a certain limitations. I'm guilty of it in myself. We only trust him to a certain limit. And then when it comes to other stuff, and we realize we can't do it on our own, we either give up or we let it lag. And when God gives you instructions and tell you to do certain things, there is a grace for that. There is a grace for that. And it doesn't mean it's not going to come back around. But then you have to think about how long you have to wait. How long you have to wait if you just trust God in the process. And I'm not just talking this to y'all. This is to me too. I had to trust the coloring process. And let me tell y'all something. We colored my hair the first time. When we colored my hair the first time, let me just tell y'all right now, only my roots and up to about right here took the color. That was only half of my head that actually cooperated and yielded to the change. Oh, come on, somebody. Yielded to the change that was willing to come. It was the end parts. It was the parts that needed to be cut off that would not yield. So I had to wait. We had to go. We did a rinse out. And that's when we realized it didn't, like the rest of the hair didn't want to cooperate. But that also was the hair that wasn't finna stay either. So what we end up doing, I sat in a chair. She said, you know what? I got to run back out to the store that I went and got this from, because we ran out. Like, that was all of the dye. And I ran out. So I got to go back to the store. So we're going to wait a little bit. And I'm going to go to the store. I said, okay. I said, no worries. It's cool. Go ahead. So then I'm waiting. And internally, I'm like, man, maybe I'm not supposed to do this. I mean, dang. Maybe I'm just not supposed to do this, right? Maybe I'm not supposed to. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm not supposed to change my hair color and cut it and do all of these things. I was wrestling with myself to trust the process. And in me, all God kept saying, trust the process, trust the process. Don't worry about it. Trust the process. Trust it, trust it, trust it. And I just kept doing this wrestle. She came back within 5 minutes. And I had told myself, I said, God, if it's for me, it's going to be for me. If this doesn't work, then it's not for me. And I will finish getting my hair done and decided I wanted to get it done. But whatever needs to be cut off, we're going to go through it. So we go through it. Now, mind y'all, I sit down. She blow dries my hair straight. She shows me one way. She shows me one way. And after she blow dries it straight, she's like, you want to look at your hair? I said, I don't know. And I look at my hair and I see me. I see everything I was holding on to, every dead relationship, every bad habit, every struggle. I see all of those things. I see depression and anxiety. I see all of these things holding on at the very ends of my hair. She said, we will have to cut all of this off. And then you want to bob anyway. So we have to cut that off. I said, okay, let's do it. I don't want to look in the mirror no more. We turn around. She get the cutting. As soon as I hear the shears, I hear the shears. I don't see the shears. Tears start to fall. But it was because all of what was trying to hold on to me that didn't want to change, it was made to change. It was forced to bow down to the change. It submitted to the color. Do we have to apply a second coat? Absolutely. But it submitted. It submitted to the change that was coming. And the change that was coming is they can no longer stay. Otherwise, it would just eat up my hair even more, right? So, I said all that to say that in order for you to continue to move forward, you got to yield. And doing the things that you don't want to do or feel uncomfortable to you, it's a resistance of yielding and trusting the process. And if you have any kind of self-sabotaging habits or procrastination, you feel it stronger than probably anything else. So this is to encourage you. Encourage you to push yourself. Do it anyway. Utilize your time. If you find that you have a minute or 5 minutes or 30 minutes, that you find that in your day, in your time, you have time to sit down and do what it is that you need to do, or what it is that you've been, I won't even say need to do, but what it is that you have been trying to do, and you just like, you know what, I'm pushing on back burner, I don't want to do it. Do it. Whatever it is that you've been trying to do, whatever it is that you have been procrastinating to do, whatever it is that you're not trusting God in that process, so however that process is supposed to go for that business, however that process is supposed to go for that relationship, however the process is supposed to go for your housing, buying a car, or whatever, however the process is supposed to go for you emotionally, spiritually, and your healing, just start. Just take one step forward, not 10 steps back. Be blessed. Bye.